Let's start first with what I focused mainly on this update, which was continuing the story mode and adding in a lot of new NPCs regarding that. And also I changed a few old ones, like for example Superboo and Beerus here had their models changed, and for example Golden Frieza received an aura, but many of the new mobs have an aura, so it's not unique, but the fact that they were already in and just changed. Also, I've added this Cell Jr., continuing the story mode for Z, ending with Kid Buu, then the Beerus saga, and after that the Golden Frieza saga, the Universal Tournament, and ending with the Zamasu saga or Future Trunks saga with a final Zamasu corrupted, damaged, I don't know which would be the proper way to call him, boss. And also a few other NPCs, like for example these variations of Goku, Vegeta, Gohan and Trunks, and a Krillin and Master Roshi, but many of them aren't even in the story mode. They were just added for fun. There's also a Namekian frog added and two more masters, but they don't actually spawn in the world. You have to spawn them using a command, which you can find in the update log on our website, link in the description. And basically what they do is that Guru can teach you potential unlock, so it's not really much. In the future I will most likely remove that skill from Kami and give it to Guru only when he has a house to spawn in on Namek. And Whis basically can give you a new item, heavyweight, with the suit, heavyweight suit, which you can of course put on, and it works basically like all the other weight items. And he can teach you God Form and Ultra Instinct, so that's cool. Besides that, I wanted to show you a few items, which were basically the heavy suit weights, which I already showed you, the Namek throne, and a few vanity items, which are basically Aegis Halo, a Barrier of Light, and a regular Halo, which disappeared, or I already am wearing it and I'm not aware of it. Nope, not okay. That vanished. Okay, so in order to equip vanity items, you need to press the inventory key and the second function key, which in default is the left control and E. And then you can shift click them in there, and then you can wear them. And the Namekian throne is something you can just right click to put down, and it will rotate towards the player who puts it down. And I tried to make it work so that if you right click on it you can sit in it, but sadly that doesn't work properly. I've managed to make it work randomly, but usually it does not want you to sit in it. So for now I guess you can use it for decorative purposes or just stack them on top of each other for no reason. Also, the barrier block is basically working in a similar way like in the 1.8 update, that if you hold it you can actually see the ones you put down, else it's going to be invisible. Now I also added quite a few new configs and a new command, but first I want to show you the new command, which is basically DBC spawn key, allowing you to spawn a key blast at a specific position, which here I created this little contraption with this command block which has the command in it already. And so basically this first number is what you would use as the type of the key blast, this is the speed, this is the damage, and the rest I don't remember besides these last three ones, which are basically the coordinates from where you want to spawn the Ki Blast, which is important because in order to make it spawn properly, you have to set a position, or basically get a position. For example, it's right now pointing at this specific block, and if I use this command block, it's basically going to search for a living entity around that position, which you set in these three last numbers as X, Y, and Z, which that block is currently what I'm pointing at. So it of course will know that there's an entity in there, which is the villager, which is looking at me. And if I activate it, it's actually going to shoot out the Ki Blast. There were also a few new key types added, and I've also added animations for every single one for charging, and also added another animation for blocking in first person, but you can't see that because I have it disabled in general, because it's actually a bit buggy. Because if I put down a repeater, then you will actually see that it's playing the blocking animation while it's trying to use something. You also have animations for charging key attacks. For example, if I were to create a disc, then you could actually see as I'm charging the disc. And if I go back to first person, one of my arms is pointing upwards. All key attacks now have two colors, except the ones that are white, which basically means that they have a stronger outer color and a more lighter inside. One of the bugs which I noticed is that if you use a key wave and then shoot it out, you're still going to have the animation on. So I'm going to have to basically change how the key wave works completely.
I call upon the trees and the water, the sun, the moon and the stars, the plants and the animals, all living things. Let me share your power.
And the new attack types that were added are Barrage, Shield, and Explosion. Now, Shield and Explosion are a bit different when it comes to the effects status, because with normal key attack types, you would normally have a attack that explodes when it hits ground. But of course we can't have that with a shield. So what I've done is I've added the effect that if it's enabled, then it will push away entities. Now I might have to either nerf this or change this or remove it completely in the future. I'm not really sure about that yet, but I'm sure that it will make changes. Also, for Explosion, normally you would only deal a specific amount of damage for everyone around you, but if you turn on the effect, it's going to basically turn it into a final explosion-like attack that it will do far more damage, which you can not see here yet, that it does more damage, but you will also take damage from it. So basically it's going to boost its power while also damaging you as well. a new system was added, which is the key blade and the key scythe. Now these two don't have their own skill. In order to have either of these, or both of these to be precise, you need to have both key infuse and key fist learned. And then, if you have both of those skills, if you press X to open your action menu and then go to more, then you will have key blade enable. And then you can switch over to key scythe. So both of these skills work identical to the key fist, so that it will deal bonus damage when hitting something, and in order to make them stronger you need to level up key fist and key infuse. Now in the future they might get their own separate skill, but for now I decided to just go with this one. I made some changes and fixes to the lightning when it comes to auras. Also, another thing that I've added is that DBC enemies can have multiple types of key attacks. So a good example would be the final form of Cell. Also, another thing that I wanted to talk about is custom HUDs, which is basically a simple system you can enable in the client settings, user interface, and then the top one. But here you don't really have any options to change them. So this is not something that you can change in game, but instead I've created a program which allows you to generate a code, which is basically a HUD you can create. And then if you import that code to the game, which I have a few examples for, then you will basically have your own very custom HUD. So I've also did a few changes regarding the mechas and basically added the option that they can drop now alien chips. The higher the tier of the mecha is, the higher the chance of dropping one of those chips is, and also the higher tier chips they can drop. And also, all of the mechas can now shoot out missiles. They all have their own unique type of missiles. I've tried creating a sound for it, but it's really silent and very basic, so I will definitely do more changes regarding that. Another small feature that I've added is if you go to any color pickers, then it will also give you now free text fields for red, green and blue color. And if you edit these, you can basically set here a more specific color of your liking, if that is what you prefer, rather than the current color picker. And as many of you wanted, I've also added Super Saiyan 5, because now, on every 1st of the April, Super Saiyan 4 is going to turn into Super Saiyan 5. Well, isn't that nice? Also, you can enable it in the client settings in case it's not April the 1st. That way you have an always on Super Saiyan 5.